catching up on what's going on around Seattle sports. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show, where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey. There's a handful of things that I haven't gotten to in the last week that I've been meaning to. That a lot of them aren't big things, so I figured we can do a real short episode just catching up on what's kind of going on around Seattle sports. Over the last week or so. Across all of our different teams. I'm just going to go in the order that I have these lined up in my little rundown sheet that I have here. So we'll start out with the Seahawks first. No big news with them, but today, well, I mean, it is big news, kind of. If you're a nerd and geek like me, and you're somebody who's really into roster construction, and that has to do with contracts, how they're structured and whatnot. And you've heard me say how I think Seattle does a really great job of the way they structure the contracts. That's why you heard me say multiple times I'm not worried about them getting under the salary cap when they need to before free agency started. And then now that free agency has started and we've signed a bunch of players, I have not been worried about them spending too much or spending any way that they're going over the salary cap and not going to be able to handle it by the time they have to cut all the players and the regular season starts. Plenty of time between now and then, right? And plenty of moves to be made with contracts and players and all kinds of things. Well, the guy that's been behind that has left the organization after 11 seasons in Seattle. That is the quote. That was the announcement. This was Matt Thomas, behind the scenes guys, or a behind the scenes guy. So you might not even know his name or know who he is, but his title was Vice President of Football Administration, and that's what he was in charge of. Doing all these contracts and getting them signed the way they were. Well, now to replace Matt Thomas, we are bringing in Joey Lane. He will take the title of Vice President of Football Administration. And for him, he was most recently with the Green Bay Packers as a salary cap analyst. Again, you want guys who are good at this so that you don't end up in situations like other teams where they keep kicking the can down the road. They're signing contracts that don't make sense, and they're structuring them. That's the biggest thing. They're structuring them in a way that makes sense and doesn't help the team be able to get out of things. And then you see a team not be able to put a good roster together for 3 or 4 years in a row because they have just structured the contract so horribly. Now this is going to be the job of Joey Lane, again, who's been doing this with the Green Bay Packers. He was with the Bears before that. And let's see here. I guess he's also with the Saints for a handful of years. And yeah, there you go. I mean, and that's kind of his history. We don't need to go too deep into him, but we just should know that there's somebody new in office handling that situation. And if contracts start getting structured in a way that is not advantageous to the team, I'm sure we will know about it. But I don't assume it'll be a problem. I think this organization is run very well. So the way things have been done, there's going to be plenty of people still around to communicate to him to make sure, if he did start steering off the path, that they'd get him right back on it. But I don't assume there's going to be any problem. All right, so there's the Seahawks. The next thing I have on my outline here is the Mariners. So let's talk some Mariners. Again, the day I'm recording this, it was their day off. They needed it. They need to, get their heads on straight, figure out what they're doing on defense, play better defense. They need to get those bats going. Again, just the eye test, it looks like the approach is better. So I assume those strikeouts will come down. The batting average will go up. That's not going to be this bad, for 162 games. It's only been 7 games. But yeah, I mean, with how bad that defense has been, I wouldn't mind seeing Scott Service call some people out or make some moves that will make the players really wake up and figure out what they're doing on defense. Because again, there was technically no errors in the game yesterday in which we lost 0-8. Nothing was recorded as an error, but certainly there was a lot of errors out there on the field. So yeah, that's the Mariners. 3-4 right now, getting ready to go on our first road trip, and we'll see how we are coming out of that. Again, it's still so early. I'm not freaking out, but at the same time, I it is very. It is at the back of my mind, and it is creeping forward a little bit just because of how eerily similar it's looking to last year with the batting, and now with the defense so far being way worse, even way more worse than we thought it was going to be. But again, it's a small sample size, so I'm sure it'll get better. Let's talk some Kraken, because that's the next thing I have on my little timeline here. And well, what's there to talk about? They are officially, I couldn't believe it when I saw people talking about it on social media after the game yesterday. People were talking about how now the Kraken are officially mathematically eliminated the playoffs. To me, they were eliminated from the playoffs a month ago. I didn't need to wait for the mathematics to get there. It was obvious mathematically they were not going to be doing what they need to do to get themselves back in a position to be in the playoffs a month ago. They just have not been playing right. But speaking of right, hey, Shane Wright was finally called up. Again, I'm not a big guy, a big hockey guy, still very new to it. So yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs of contracts and stuff like that, like this the way I do. The way I have familiarity with it and follow that stuff in the NFL. So with hockey, I guess it's advantageous to not call Shane Wright up until now because the number of games he's played can affect the long-term outlook at the contract for the player. Like almost like baseball, it sounds like, where there's arbitration years, or how many years you can consider somebody a rookie depending on how many games they play in that year. So it affects how long you can keep somebody for a cheaper rate. And so I guess that's the move that they were decided to do. Don't bring him up until the end so that he plays in the, he's only going to play the amount of games that he can play in before we trigger having to pay him more sooner. And that was the point of that. So I guess I get that, because you want to keep the talent around, especially if it's really good talent. You want to keep them around as long as you can, and it's even better for the organization if they can do it at a cheaper price. Now I'll say the first game that he came in, it was very obvious that he is very good, and hopefully next year he's going to be on the club right away and will be making a difference right away, because it looks like he does have that ability to make a difference and maybe start, getting this team back in the win column more often next season. All right, that's what we have about the Kraken. Again, it just still surprised me so much that people, but I guess those are the diehard hockey fans, right? Again, I've only been a hockey fan for a few years now since the Kraken got here, but so I totally understand it. That's how I feel with like football and baseball. Like I hold on to the very last second, and then as my fandom grows for hockey, and I start to understand hockey more over the years, I bet you it's going to be the same way with hockey for me. Right now, I'm just still, again, it's only the third season, so I'm still, I still. I am just learning the game itself. Of course, I want them to make the playoffs, but um, again, because I'm just not as deep into it as I have been with football, like my entire life. Like it's easier for me to, with football, I'm such a diehard fan. It's hard for me to let go when those chances are really dwindling. With hockey, I guess because you know I'm not so die hard into it. My heart's not into it as much as football. It's easier for me to like take a step back and look at it and say objectively, "Oh yeah, that's not good. That's not, there's no way they're going to be in it." So I think there's a lot of you out there who are those diehard hockey fans, so that you really were saying, "Hey, there's a 0.5% chance that we could still make the playoffs," and you were gonna wait and see if they could win every single game down the stretch while somebody else lost all their games to to still make the playoffs. And I don't blame you. I love that type of fandom, and I'm glad you're all out there. All right, next up is the Storm. For the Storm, not really any news. So we'll mention that the WNBA season is about to kick off in a month and a half. May 15th is the Storm's first game, so that's coming up so soon. Can't wait for that. The all the stars that we already have in the WNBA, and then all the stars that are about to join. The Caitlin Clarks of the world, Cardosa, um, declared, the just Cameron Brink, all the names that have declared so far. It's gonna be fun to Angel Reese declared as well. All the big stars that are about to join the WNBA to add on to what we already have. It's going to be a really really fun season. And I mean the draft itself, that's just in 11 days on April 15th. So everybody's going to be tuning into that as well, because again, you're going to have Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink, Cardosa. You're going to have did I say Cameron Brink yet? I don't remember. You're going to have a lot of big names. Angel Reese, that's the other one. A lot of big stars involved in this one, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I love that they're going to be presenting it on ESPN. The draft that is on April 15th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So I guess that's gonna be 4:30 for us. So tune into that. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun to see. I mean, do we have a big spot in the draft anymore? No, we traded out of the number 4 spot so that we could get Neka Agumake. Very great move for us, but it does make as a Storm fan, makes the draft a little bit less exciting for us. But I mean, it's still overall going to be a fun event to watch, I think. I mean, we do have the second pick in the second round. So I guess we'll see who we get there, and then in the third round as well. So we'll see what players we can pick up out of this, and how it'll help our team. But yeah, that's the Storm. Again, get ready for the draft in 11 days. Get ready for the season in about a month and a half. Let's talk those Sounders. This is a team I am very worried about. I mean, at this point, they need a win. Their next game is against Montreal, and they have to win. They don't have to win, but I feel like they have to win with the way they're playing. And yeah, this feels like one. If they don't win, how much does this team really start to stumble? I mean, we're sitting at 4 games. Right? Was it 4 games that we actually played? Because one of them got rained out. I'm trying to remember back here and look it up at the same time. Anyways, the point is we haven't won a game yet. And there's only one game there's 2 games in which we tied, so we got a couple of points. But I mean, we are, in bad shape through the 5 games that we played. We are sitting in dead last place with only 2 points. So that doesn't feel good at all. They need to pick it up. They need to start scoring. And again, Montreal, that feels like a big game for the club now. Montreal's not doing great either, but they're doing better than you. But you need to do something to get yourself some points on the board. Otherwise, at this point, again, you're falling so far behind. You have to be phenomenal the rest of the season, I think, to make up the difference that the hole that you put yourself in at the beginning of the season here. And it's going to be tough with all the injuries that we have. I don't think I mentioned it, or that we've had a chance to mention it since the last episode where we talked some soccer. But Leo Chu is injured, can be out 3 to 5 weeks at this time. I guess we'll just say that 5-week range. It's going to be a while. So we just keep losing more and more players, and it is not a good situation. That's the Sounders. Let's go ahead and talk about the Seattle Reign now. The Seattle Reign, they lost their last game, but this is this is a team for them. I'm not worried about them the same way that I am worried about the Sounders. To me, again, this team is still good. This team has a lot of depth, and we'll get things straightened out. They're going to be good. There's too much talent on this team, to not be good. So, no issues there. For them, the next game. Let's see here. No, that can't be. That can't be right. April 14th is the next game. Well, that's what it shows here on their calendar, so I guess that's the next game. They don't got a game this week, I guess. No, that's kind of a bummer. Well, the next game will be at Bay FC, the new expansion team, so that'll be fun to kind of go up against them. And if I remember correctly, one of our players ended up going there as in this expansion draft, right? If I remember correctly, can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe somebody did go there, so that'll be interesting to see as well. And there we go. That is a quick little update. Just kind of trying to quickly catch up on everything and mention some things that we haven't gotten a chance to mention for a few teams this last week. Again, it's a fun time to be a Seattle sports fan right now. Um, you know, a couple teams going through some struggles, a couple of teams doing some exciting things. So, if you're someone like me and you're just a fan of sports in general, so you're following everything, um, you know, it kind of makes it so you're never too down and you're never too high because, thankfully for us in Seattle, sometimes when some teams are bad and sometimes really bad, we have enough teams here and organizations here that are run well that there's always at least a team or two that is doing really good. So it's lucky for us. So get in here, join me in watching all the sports, across Seattle here, and let's root for all our teams to do good and bring some more championships. I had a friend today. We were talking about, and discussing all the stars that are in women's basketball right now, across college and pros, and I guess his eyes are just now getting opened to the fact that women's basketball is really good. And so I was telling him, yeah, there's all these stars across here right now, and he was asking me to name some, that are in the WNBA, and one of them I mentioned, because he was like, hey, I'm gonna go look up some highlights of some of these players, and one of them I mentioned, of course, was Breanna Stewart. You all know her and love her, and how well she was. How good she did, and bringing 2 championships here to Seattle with the Storm. So he looked her up and goes, "Oh, I didn't realize that, or I never watched her when she played here in Seattle." And yeah, so you really should try to watch. If you're just a fan of sports in general, like me, you should really try to watch all the teams that we have here across Seattle, because a lot of them are really fun, and some of them, frequently and recently have brought championships to our city, and that's fun to see and fun to cheer for during a season. All right, well, that is going to be the episode. So, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave comments, let me know how you're feeling about your favorite team across Seattle, and yeah, just let me know how you're feeling about Seattle sports in general. You know, no matter which team you're a fan of, I want to know how you are feeling about them. Whether it's a team that you're feeling like horrible about because they are just playing horrible right now, or is there a team that's playing good, or a team that's just making exciting moves in the offseason that you're excited about? I want to hear all the good and the bad that you guys have to say about Seattle sports right now. All right, and that's going to be it. So thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken. So take cover, because with the sea of sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever.